EDC enthusiasts, fellow genetic modified Vikings, I'm Diener. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to do an unboxing and a review and a comparison of something that I typically, in fact I haven't done since I started the channel. Most of the knives, in fact all the reviews I've done so far has been pocket knives, whether it's been modern folders, traditionals, or the hybrids, which is kind of like the Finch knives, which is a merge of the traditional style design with the modern folder flair. That is the frame lock, liner lock, so forth. So I have a package here. It's from Knife Center. And Knife Center, if you haven't purchased from them yet, you probably should. It's a good company, and they've got pretty decent selection. They have occasionally they'll bring in some customs, and they'll sell customs right off the website, which is kind of nice. And Knife Center has a program where when you purchase a knife, you accumulate points. And then those points you cash in for gift cards. So in this case, I had purchased enough knives from them that I bought a $50 gift card. So I got this item for $50 off. So can't beat that. I'll take a sip of my coffee here. So, we're going to do this unboxing and a review, and it is of a multi-tool. And as I've mentioned in previous videos, I have a pretty decent collection of Leathermans, mostly new, but I've got some older ones as well. So let's do an unboxing here. I'm going to use the, you know what, I'm going to switch to the top-down view, and then we'll do the unpackaging. Here we go. All right, so KCI Knife Center. Use the Chavez to open this puppy up. Now, I've been wanting to get a hold of this particular multi-tool for some time because I've heard nothing but great reviews about it. And in some cases, many of the reviewers that I've watched said that it's better than a Leatherman. They prefer it better than a Leatherman. So there it is. The Victorinox. This is, as I understand, from some of the reviewers, a better multi-tool than the Leatherman. Now, the difference, I think, between the two is going to be more in the refinement of the multi-tool. That's my guess. That is a little different fit and finish, a little smoother operation in terms of overall bruteness. And the comparison that I've heard people use is that the Leatherman is like the tank, and the Victorinox is more of the fighter plane, the more refined, sleek smoothness. So at any rate, we're going to find out. So we're going to open this thing up with the Chavez. 24 functions. That doesn't mean 24 tools. It means 24 functions. I got the one with the pocket clip rather than the one with the pouch. I'm not really a pouch guy. I much prefer a pocket clip. So there we go. Get him out of there. I'm just going to set this off to the side so I have something to refer to. And let's check it out. Get my this is the other thing. This is like a fingerprint magnet, whereas the Leatherman is less of a fingerprint magnet, and they were correct. You can't really see it there in the camera view, but it is a fingerprint magnet. Okay, now some of the videos that I saw of the pocket clip is that it's a little flimsy, and you can see here I'm pushing it and it does move. It is I don't know if that's screwed in. I have to check from the other side. But it just kind of rides on the frame right here. And it's actually attached right there. Now, it just being a little flimsy doesn't mean it's not going to be reliable or it's going to break or whatever. It's just that's how they chose to put the pocket clip on there. The Leatherman that I have, that I'm going to be bringing in the video, is the Wave Plus. It doesn't have a pocket clip. You can get the pocket. It does come with a pocket clip, and it's kind of nice in that it can be removed with the locking mechanism. Whereas this one here, it's more of a permanent application. So I'm just going to open it up here and just kind of feel the. Okay, it's a little bit gritty, just a little bit gritty. A little bit of flex in the handle when you squeeze on it, and again, that's consistent with what I've heard so far. The difference between the Victorinox is that the tools are from the outside when it's in a closed position, as you can see here. Now, this one here has the tabs for the knives, which gives you that one hand opening. Boy, this is stiff. This is really stiff. That spring, holy jeez. Yeah, that's stiff and clunky. Let's check out some of these other tools here. There's the can opener, which is kind of useless, in my opinion. This is this one here, this multi-tool, or this implement serves as a two-dimensional Phillips as well as a smaller flathead. But man, that is stiff, that spring. You got a three-dimensional Phillips screwdriver. Very nice. I really like these as opposed to the some of the other offerings that other multi-tool makers produce. Let's see what this one is here. Okay, this is going to be the smaller slotted screwdriver. And then we have the scissors, which always Victorinox does a great job on their scissors. I haven't cut with this yet, but based on this spring action. But notice how it doesn't open very far. That's the other thing that some of the reviewers that I've watched complained about, the fact that it doesn't open very far. And that is, in fact, the case. It does not open. But nonetheless, I'm sure, well, we're just going to, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It cuts through that pretty decent. So, but not great, which is kind of uncommon for Victorinox. Okay, on the other side, see what we got here. We have the reamer. This wouldn't be technically an awl because the awl would have the opening there for doing stitching. So this is really just a reamer. It's got this little hook implement here. Next to it, it looks like it's the file. Yep, that's what it is. So this has, okay. Plus, it looks like it has a, almost like a saw, a metal saw here. On this side, right there, you can kind of see it. And then you've got your file here as well as here. Interesting. Okay. Still very stiff on that lock. What do we got here? Okay, this is a pretty good setup here. We got kind of a slotted screwdriver, multi-tool, or not multi-tool, but pry bar kind of a deal. It looks like this is a bottle opener, and it looks like this is going to be for the wire stripper. And then here, this is that multi-function deal. This is kind of like a chisel. You notice the sharpened edge right there on the end. And then you have this little sharpened notch right here for opening packages. As I understand, that works real well. And then here you have your wire stripper kind of thing as well. That this would work without the need of a second blade, whereas the other one with the little loop cut in the blade or in the steel of the implement. Let's see, I'm just going to pull it out here. Right here, this one here, you have the need of your other blade, of a knife blade. This one here, you don't. You just put it onto your wire and just rotate it around. So that's that one. And then finally, what's this? I'm betting it's going to be the saw. Where's it at here? There it is right there. Yep. And then we have the saw. So on a multi-tool, I guess a saw works. This would not necessarily be an everyday carry unless you work in a shop of some sort, which if you work in a shop, I don't know this would be the right one that would be superior over the Leatherman. So, but anyway, yeah, this is nice. This is nice. I'm glad I got it. A little gritty on the opening here. The needle nose pliers, really well done. Cleaned off. This doesn't have the removable blades here on the wire clips. There's a little groove in there. I don't know what the hell that groove is in there for. There's like a groove cut in here and here. I'm not sure what that's for. But it's single shape for the for the pliers rather. Yeah, this is a nice looking tool. Very, again, fingerprint magnet. Very smooth. I mean, extremely smooth plier action. Just a little bit of give, though. A little bit of give in the handle from the joint. Now, I don't know if that's coming from the joint or the plier joint, that is, or where it connects to the handle. But there is a little bit of, I don't know if you can hear that. There's a little bit of movement in there. So let's just kind of fold him up, set him down there. And now we're going to pull out a multi-tool. This is the Swiss tool that I bought years ago. And this is when I bought a Leatherman, and that was my user. And I bought this one, and I have not used it. It hasn't been used for anything. As you can see, it is in impeccable condition. I mean, this is an older tool as well. It's got the measuring capabilities here. It's got inches on one side, centimeters on the other, and millimeters. This was their first. Actually, I think they came out with this locking mechanism before Leatherman came out with their locking mechanisms. But same deal. You got your outside accessibility to all the implements, and then you have the pliers. Now, this is bulky, but this was by far, because of how they bent the frame around at the time, this really beat Leatherman in terms of what Leatherman had to offer. And that was why I bought it. I wanted it for comparison. On this one here, there is absolutely no wiggle at that joint or at the connection points on the end of these pliers. There's none. Absolutely zip. Let's take a look at the plier head themselves. Very similar, almost identical. These are a little more robust than on this one, as you can see. But very similar design. They don't have the removable blades. Leatherman was the one that came up with that. A lot of other multi-tool makers now are following suit with that. So, yeah. And then not quite as drop shut, if you will, on the pliers as this recent purchase. But this one here, it stiffens up right there, and then you get to a point and then it drops off. But very, very easy motion. So let's close this up and let's just take a look at the tools. This is a little bit different in terms of a similar locking mechanism. This one here, you cannot use a one-hand operation for putting the blade out as you can here. So, but this has got a lot of tools in it. Let's just kind of go over it. Again, this is the older model. Let's see here. Where's the nail in that guy? Oh, they're right there. Okay, this is the saw. All right. This lock is much easier to operate than the newer design. It's less clunky, and it's easier to operate. We have the bottle opener, rather the can opener, and then that Phillips, as well as a smaller slotted screwdriver. Let's see what else. This thing's loaded as compared to this one here. There you go. That's the bottle opener, slotted screwdriver, and then you've got your wire strippers there. Next, what do we got here? There we go. You got your wire strippers, you got your chisel right there. The other one having that chisel head plus that little notch on there for opening packages. And just a big old slotted screwdriver and a pry bar. What's next here? We've got the regular blade, and this is a classic traditional shape for a Victorinox knife. These are slicey. I mean, these will slice like you wouldn't believe. These are really well made. Okay. Then on the other side, get my finger. There's a nail nick. We got the file. Same deal. So they've been doing this for a while. You can see there's a little bit of discoloration there on the stainless steel. This has never been used. Come on, get in there. All right, there's that one. Let's see what the next one is. Okay, that's just the small slotted screwdriver. It looks as though that edge, you might be able to use that for a fire starter. And you've got the three-dimensional Phillips, which I really like. And then you have the reamer. That is really sharp. Oh, man, that's really sharp. And then finally, I can't remember what this one is. Serrated. There you go. Same shape, just a serrated blade. This one, too, is a fingerprint magnet. Let's see if we can capture it. There it is. See? Yeah. So anyway, a little bit easier locking mechanism on the older design than the newer design. So we're going to put them right there. Next, we're going to pull out the Leatherman. Now, the Leatherman's a little different because even though Victorinox tried to kind of capitalize on a one-handed deployment of that blade, that is much smoother. Much, much smoother. I like the liner lock component to the Leatherman as opposed to the Victorinox. This is really well done. And now, it's a little stiffer in terms of the joint of the knife, how easy the blade moves. However, it is rock solid. And then you've got, now these here, all of the longer implements are accessible from the outside. Whereas on the Victorinox, all of the implements, including the longer implements, are accessible from the outside. So that's the difference, big difference between the two there. This one here, now the file, you can't do a one-handed deployment. But that's the Leatherman file. This has got the diamond impregnated file, which the others don't have. I don't know that anybody is doing that now. This is a huge feature right here. So it also has the sharpened edge, like a metal saw there, as well as the file. Same deal, frame lock, or rather liner lock type locking mechanism versus just the spring mechanism right here. The spring is separated for each implement, as you can see there. Same thing here. And but this has got the liner lock. Here is the serrated blade right here. And my phone's going off right now. I'm going to ignore that. So, but also liner lock. And then finally is going to be the saw. Right there. So that's that. Same deal, liner lock. And I really like that. Then the other implements, which is you operate from the inside, is all based on this release mechanism. And that's got a pretty big click. This side's not so much. It's hanging up here on one of these to release. But nonetheless, this is the single locking mechanism for these other implements. And again, the drawback is that with the Victorinox, you can access all of them from the outside. You don't have to open the pliers, whereas the Leatherman, you do. You have to open them up. But if they are opened up and you are using them, it is not uncomfortable. And we're just going to go through the tools right now. Here's the scissors. Notice how these open up much farther. Once the spring is in action, they're about the same, but you can't open these further than you can on the Victorinox. You can't do that. Let's just pull up some of that cardboard and just give a comparison. I have to say, there it goes. It kind of kicks in, but the Victorinox scissors are, even with the lack of not being able to open the scissors as far, I would have to say the Victorinox has the Leatherman scissors beat. Now, the releasing this is a little bit of a trick, in that to release these, you have to kind of lift this up to get your thumb in there. It's not easily released without that, but they do move pretty freely. So you just lift up, and then the lock mechanism releases it. You got to flip that in there like that. All right, so now let's take a look at the other ones. Here's the slotted screwdriver. And then once again, if you're using the tool now, it's not centered. The tool isn't centered, so you have to kind of work. You rotate the tool around the center of it being on this one side versus the tool being in the center here, which, let's just compare. And you're still going to get that kind of same process, in that this now becomes the center rather than it being symmetrically center, but it's more symmetrical. The center is more symmetrical with the shape of the multi-tool than with the Leatherman, as you can see there. So, and then once again, to release that lock, you got to lift up the bar here. So it's a little clunkier. And what else we got here? Oh yeah, this one's kind of nice. This is the micro screwdriver. It's got for working on sunglasses or your prescription glasses. This is it's not going to really show, but this is a micro small Phillips. And then on the other side, you flip it around, and you have the slotted screwdriver. Now, this is nice, but I have to tell you, I think that they just need to modify this to accommodate another tool. If you're working on your sunglasses or your prescription glasses, this thing is really bulky to effectively use that implement. Even though it's a great idea, I think that it belongs on a smaller multi-tool. So, and they do also have the measuring capability here on the outside of the frame. And then over here we've got the can opener. And again, to get to the lock, you got to lift that up. And then this is probably one of the best implements that I've ever seen on any multi-tool. And that's the capability to be able to change these bits out. Now, they're not necessarily the best bits. They're a two-dimensional bit. Like once you get into the Phillips designs, I don't have them here. Let's see, do I? I don't know what I've done with them. I think I have them downstairs in my backpack. But at any rate, the more three-dimensional designs like the Phillips, or even some of the Allen screw heads is more two-dimensional. It doesn't allow a full surface contact. And so it'd be kind of nice if they change this, or at least, like in this case, if you notice, use the locking mechanism to lift this up. See, here's the Phillips. As you can see, this side and this side of the Phillips isn't as wide as the other two sides, and that means less contact, less surface contact, and they work pretty good. But if you want to really bear down on a screw, it's not necessarily going to be the best setup. If they were to come up with the same design with three-dimensional heads, and then offer two types, because there's seems to be quite a bit of space in there where a three-dimensional head is going to fit in that space. So that would be kind of nice if Leatherman did that. That would make this more complete, if you will. So, and then of course Leatherman's got, now these are not super smooth. However, it is just as smooth as the older Victorinox design. And they now right there it sticks, which is, I think that's kind of a good thing. You don't want necessarily this just flopping around all over the place. So it has a sticking point, and you kind of get where you need to be, and then to go from here to here, there's no resistance. Absolutely no wiggle in the pivot or the joints here where they meet the handles. Absolutely none. Rock solid. It's got the replaceable wire snip blades. Those are awesome. I bought an extra pair just to have on hand. These have this kind of a similar setup here. I'm going to close this. It's got one area for grabbing onto nuts and bolts. The much more finer tip on the needle nose as opposed to the Victorinox. The Victorinox is a little bit more towards a bull nose. Probably a kind of a blend, a hybrid, a little bit. But yeah. And I think that it is a correct assessment that this is more of a tank compared to the Victorinox. This is more refined. It's sleeker looking. It has a more refined look. But nonetheless, they're both really good. In terms of trying to pick a favorite, I don't know that I can do that. I'm just going to compare the weight of these two. Pull out the scale here. I finally had to get a scale. My son took his to college that I was using. This is in ounces. Here's the Leatherman. 8.5. And then the Victorinox, 7.6. So it's less than an ounce, 9/10 of an ounce difference. Now this guy's going to be a different ball game here. 9.8, quite a bit heavier. It shows. I mean, it's longer, right? That's a significant amount of metal in terms of overall volume. Everything else, real comparable. This has got more tools in it, about the same thickness. Leatherman actually is a little bit thicker, but yeah. So the Leatherman is quite a bit heavier. Well, there you go. I just wanted to pull these out, do a little comparison. You got old school Victorinox, you got old school or new Leatherman, and then you got the new Victorinox. The one thing that I didn't pull out here, I can grab real quick, is the old school Leatherman tool, pocket survival tool, the PST. This is like late 90s, early 2000s. So this is quite old. It's in pretty decent shape. It's got a few battle scars on there that I put on there when I was using it. Very uncomfortable. If you are really bearing down, these sharp edges dig into your hands. Unlike both the Swiss, it's got the rounded edges, very comfortable. Unlike the Leatherman Wave, which is extremely comfortable because they're nice and big and thick versus a little thinner on these outside edges. And that's because inside the folds of the handles is nested your longer tools. So it serves as two things. It nests the long implement tools and acts as a handle. So you got a nice big wide surface area for the handles to fit in the hand, whereas the Victorinox is a little different. It doesn't continue the wrap and widen the handle even further. It's just a single layer that the rounding is only halfway around, whereas the Leatherman goes completely around that long tool, as you can see here. I'm hoping that shows up. Yeah. So anyway, there you go. This one here just uses the same idea as the Victorinox, that it wraps halfway around and that it only covers one side of the blade. It doesn't wrap all the way around, creating that larger surface area. So in terms of to really bear down, there's nothing wrong with this, because the springs here kind of help give you some more surface area when you're really bearing down on it. But by far, I think the better one in hand, if I am really working this thing, Leatherman's got that beat. It's got all three beat. Of course, the Wave Plus leaps and bounds better than the old PST. So I don't use the PST anymore. That's just kind of in my collection. And yeah, so there you go. Those are some of the multi-tools I have in my collection. I'll switch to the dual camera mode. That's the unboxing. I've been waiting to get a hold of this guy for quite some time and check it out. They do make another variant of this, and it actually has two knives. This one only has the one that is the fold-out, one-handed operation fold-out. They have another one where it has a serrated blade, and it's a little bigger, a little beefier. So I'll probably pick that one up next at some point just to kind of check out. So there you go. If this was of any value whatsoever for you, do me a favor, like the video. It helps on the algorithm to spread the channel out. Like and subscribe. And I don't know, I'll put any photos of these on my Instagram page. But any questions, you can throw it my way on these. In the meantime, like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram. This is Diener. I'm signing out. Till the next video. Later, guys.